Welcome, Caleb's Basketball Pod. Big Thanksgiving episode here today. Let's do a quick run through and let's talk about I want to give credit real quick before we jump into this Thanksgiving episode, and we're gonna go dinner plate. We're going to go main course, sides, and we'll do a couple different sides, and then we're going to go dessert. And we're going to go holiday beverage. So stick with me here. This is going to be fun. But before we get into that, I want to give a couple shout outs. First off, the Detroit Pistons are rolling. I just want to give them credit. I believe everybody thought they were going to take a step forward, but the step they took forward was more than what anyone's expected so far. And props to them. Another team I want to shout out, a couple more real quick. I want to shout out the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Toronto Raptors. Toronto Raptors surprising some people. These guys sit at number 2 in the Eastern Conference. Thunder real quick before we move on. Yeah, I've shouted them out because they're the champions and they're coming out knowing they're being hunted now, and they're still playing like they're doing the hunting. Shout out to the Thunder. No team in the league currently, in my opinion, is better, nor on that level of Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, I don't think you want to use it all in the regular season. And playing like this early on can do that sometimes. We've seen it multiple times. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But props to them. Another team, shout out the Miami Heat and the Houston Rockets. A couple other teams as well. And even the Los Angeles Lakers. I want to say them. We just saw LeBron return. They're to an easier part in the schedule. But they're playing really good basketball right now, and we saw huge production from Luka, Austin, and LeBron. And if you get that from all three of those guys at all times this season, and especially in the playoffs, if you sustain them in the playoffs, the Lakers could beat anyone, in my opinion. Couple teams I want to say just doing really bad. First off, I want to say the Indiana Pacers. I know everybody expected a drop-off, but it seems very likely that this drop-off's bigger than we thought. That's unfortunate. A lot of the guys are still there. We know no Halliburton. We know they lost Miles Turner in the offseason to Milwaukee. But they do have a lot of the same guys. It does make you wonder if maybe, I don't want to say tanking, but maybe they're not so keen on winning because you get that draft pick. And if you get a high lottery pick with how talented this draft is, and you pair them with Halliburton and Pascal Siakam, you match them up, you have a new big three. And then maybe you don't worry about paying Mathurin all this money. And maybe it's possible that it's a big, so it can replace Miles Turner. I mean, who knows? That could be the mindset there. And if so, you can't fault them because that could set them up for years to come. And that's crazy to think about. Wizards got the second win of the year just last night in their first ever NBA Cup tournament Cup game win last night as well. CJ McCollum dropped over 40 and made 10 3-pointers. So congrats on that. But it's just sad that it took so long for that to happen. And the Hawks were the recipient of that L. They took that loss from the Wizards. We also saw the Orlando Magic dominate last night over the Philadelphia 76ers. And the Sixers they're a big question mark, and we'll talk about that more on another episode because I want to jump right into this Thanksgiving episode. But I just want to say that there may be still some issues in Philly, and if possible to blow that team up and we start with Tyrese Maxey and Edgecombe as your guys, that is the direction I would want to go in if I'm the Sixers. As I think right now you're just at best an in-between, and I don't think with Joel Embiid's health you'll ever be more than that. And maybe some draft picks and building on these two young stars that we see in the backcourt could very possibly even propel you to a championship quicker than going the route you're going in this moment. So that's something to think about. I think if you're the Sixers, a team really struggling is the Los Angeles Clippers. We did see Kawhi return, but they're 0-2 since he's returned. And I hate to say this, but it's just the age. It's the age of a group you put together. They play too slow for this current league, this current NBA. And it's going to be hard to beat any team because you can't slow the game down if you don't control the pace of the game. We're not seeing them take control of these games, but we're seeing them want to play at this slower pace. And what's happening is they're not controlling the game, so these other teams are just outwinning them. They're turning into a track meet. The Clippers can't keep up, and their defense has been really bad from it. We're seeing James Harden show out in the first half, and then he's gassed come the second half. And sometimes he's not finishing games. And I want to say not playing, but I just want to say from the standpoint of he's not like there. You can see it's taking a toll on his body, and it's an older team. If you don't control the pace, you're not going to win playing the slowest pace in the league. That's just obvious. That's just how the league is. It's run and gun and shoot threes, and if you're not controlling that, you're not settling other teams down, that's never going to change. You're not going to win at that style, and that's what we're seeing right now. I think, don't know that there's a market value for Harden and Leonard, but you don't have draft picks. You need to blow this thing up as soon as possible and try rebuild and try get younger and try get draft picks, because it came to the point where this whole Clippers Lakers rivalry, it's not rivalry now. Lakers are dominating. This whole Clippers could win a championship. It's not a thing now. So, in my opinion, it's best for a rebuild and a restart. But, yeah, I'll leave you at that for the time being. And we'll talk more about this stuff on the next episode. But let's get into our Thanksgiving. We're going to serve up a Thanksgiving meal. We're going to have 2 beverages. We're going to have some side dishes. We're going to have dessert. And we're going to have, of course, the main dish, which for Thanksgiving, it's going to be that big old turkey. So we're going to work our way up. Let's start with a beverage. Going to say a nice glass of ice water with your Thanksgiving dinner. Who is ice water? We're going to do it. An unexpected team. Ice water for our Thanksgiving meal is the Chicago Bulls. What do I mean by that? I mean they are coming along this season very nicely, a little bit unexpected, and they're playing really good basketball. And I call them ice water and not on the dinner plate because they're almost there. You can see they need a couple pieces here and there, but they're getting right there and they're close to being on that main dish at this point. But I still think they need a piece or two. But I love the effort, and I love the fact that we can finally say they're away from that in-between. I've been talking about the Bulls for years being the not good, not bad. They're finally a good basketball team. Not a great basketball team, but a good basketball team. And I like that for them. And I think a piece or two away could change them from good to great and possibly Eastern Conference contention. Now let's start with some of our sides. Let's go cranberry sauce. Who's our cranberry sauce in the NBA? We're going to jump over to the Western Conference. We're going to say our cranberry sauce is the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't think they're one of the top sides. I don't think they're a big player in the West. But like I said, if we get that production from LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves all at once, like we did last night in a playoff series and consistently in a playoff series, and knowing your parts and knowing your roles on a team, you could be in Western Conference contention, because with those guys playing like that, you adjust for defense, you play a little bit better defense, and then you could beat anyone. You could compete with the Thunder. So I like that for them. I think the Lakers they're getting close. I do think they need to compete more on defense. I don't know if that's for players on the roster or if it's just maybe the effort's not there. But if they fix that, you get consistent from your big three and they stay healthy, Lakers are not a team to be played with. Dinner rolls on our plate. We're going to go over Miami Heat. Want to shout out the Heat. I love how they've just completely changed the offense around. They went from struggling, slower paced offense, where I talked about earlier with the Clippers now. They went from that to high-paced basketball, and the number one current scoring offense in the NBA right now. Huge props to the Heat. Spoelstra is an amazing coach, and there's no doubt, in my opinion, he's the top coach right now currently in the league. And just amazing props to the Miami Heat on that. We're going to go green bean casserole here. For green bean casserole, we're going to say, we're going to stay in the East, and we're going to go with the Toronto Raptors. I talked about them a little bit, but I love the length. I love the athleticism in the Toronto Raptors. I love the fact that, like, each night it's Scotty Barnes, it's Ingram. It's Scotty Barnes, it's Ingram. These guys are stepping up. Your role players are doing what they're supposed to. And just 1 to 15 from what you see on that roster, these men come in and they compete. And I love that, and I love the style they're playing. I like the fast break basketball. They push for pace a lot. They get out in transition. They're long enough to knock balls away, tip balls away, take it back, get some easy baskets. I can see the progression in this Toronto team, and I think in a year or two, they may be a team that you don't want to mess with in the Eastern Conference, and that's scary to think about. And not only that, we know their crowd base, their fan base. No one wants to play a playoff game in Toronto at all. You have the crowd outside, Jurassic Park they call it, and it's outside, and it's the whole area. It's about all you can fit out there, and it just translates that noise from in and out. I'm sure you hear what's going on outside when they're chilling, when it's on the screen out there. I'm sure you hear and see all of this. So it's not a place anyone wants to play in the playoffs, and that could have a lot to do with them competing and going somewhere in the Eastern Conference playoffs too. We're going to jump back to the Western Conference for our side of Yams. And we're going to say the Denver Nuggets. I like the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are a really, really good team. And I do think that they have the best chance to compete with the Oklahoma City Thunder in the West and possibly in the NBA. And because of that, we're going to have the Denver Nuggets as our side of Yams. Once they figure everything out, Nuggets team's going to be dangerous. And let's not forget, they still have arguably the best player in the NBA. Now let's go one more on the dish. Let's go stuffing. Who's our stuffing? Who's been stuffing the stat sheets and making waves, I should say? The Detroit Pistons. Detroit Pistons, I believe, the winners of 12 or 13 straight. Crazy. The offense is working. The defense is working. It's all working. We're seeing Jalen Duren take huge steps. Cade Cunningham's looking like an MVP. And yes, they are stuffing everything. The stat sheets, opponents, everything. Detroit Pistons are straight up balling right now. Our main dish on our dinner plate, this should come as no surprise to anyone at all. But our main dish is the Oklahoma City Thunder. As I mentioned a little bit ago, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a team as ready and prepared as the Oklahoma City Thunder is right now. I honestly think they are the best team in the league. The only thing I worry about, and I mentioned this, is playing too hard right now and then people figuring you out by the time the playoffs come. But we saw how good they were last year when that did happen. It's going to be a lot different now, and there's going to be a lot more teams coming at them to take their shot at them, especially when we get to playoff time. But right now, as I see it, there's not a team good enough to compete with the Thunder at this moment. And a lot can happen from now till June, but Thunder just look like that. Everything. They could be the whole Thanksgiving feast, to be honest with you. They're just that good of a basketball team. And I mean 1 through 15. These guys are amazing. And we haven't seen Jalen Williams play yet. That's insane to think about. We've seen significant games missed from Alex Caruso and Chet Holmgren. This Thunder team's scary. Now let's go to dessert. We're going to do a couple things here for dessert. We're going to go a cup of eggnog that you have after Thanksgiving dinner. And for a cup of eggnog, we're going to go for Golden State Warriors. And I say this because I honestly believe for Golden State Warriors, you still have Steph, you still have Draymond, you have Jimmy Butler. I honestly believe they could flat out upset and go a little bit further than we think in the Western Conference. And they've done it before. And Steph's just Steph. And it's hard to count them out. He's still the greatest shooter of all time. Draymond's going to do what Draymond does. We know Jimmy Butler turns it up when it's time. So I'm going to go for Golden State Warriors for this one. And for our dessert, our pumpkin pie or sweet potato pie, whichever one you prefer. I honestly believe on Thanksgiving it has to be one of those two. But we're going to say pumpkin pie, and we're going to say the Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets, why do I say them? Because Ime Udoka has took a team that has no point guard, really. We do see Reed Sheppard coming off the bench. Start lineup has no point guard. Reed Sheppard, for the most part, don't play significant time. But we see a team like them. No point guard, that offense is figured out. That offense is working. Some games it's for Alperen Sengun game. Some games it's for KD game. But all in all, it's working. And the other thing about it is we're seeing it be simple basketball. It's not complicated. It's make the right play. If you're being double teamed, KD or Sengun, it's kick you out, find the open man. Because you're being double teamed, there's someone open. It's simplistic basketball, and it is working. And no one's figured out how stopping, and part of that is just because KD and Sengun are so good that it's going to be hard pressed to stop them no matter what. With that mindset on scoring or finding the best play, they're so knowledgeable about the game, and they're doing that. And the way they're playing basketball, in my opinion, is going to preserve Kevin Durant for maybe even longer than he expects, and he could still be on top of the league, because all he's really having to do is score and make the right pass. He's doing that. The Rockets are dominating, and they could be a real threat to the Oklahoma City Thunder out west. I want to thank you guys for watching the Thanksgiving episode of Caleb's Basketball Pod, and happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe out there. It's going to be very busy, traffic wherever you go, and just in general, stay safe. Have a happy and healthy holiday, guys. See you next time.